You are not privy to this one, I'm telling you.
In my view, if we agree to this theory, it's so simple, the theory of the case.
Not agree to the way you want to go, the way you want to go about it.
So let's agree. Let's describe it that way. Let's describe it that way. Do you want to go about it?
Okay,
if
fine.
Agree to it this way. For me, it makes it simple.
Yes, it will make it fine.
It doesn't involve any difficulty for you.
Yes, I agree. I understand your point. That it doesn't.
When you say there's no advancement, yes. When you say there's no advancement, ordinarily meaning in Ghana that you don't pay until you get your goods. Now the contract here, even the clear terms, unless maybe you guys did not draft the contract, it says everything on site of goods shall be established upon the signing of the contract for every future.
No, the contract was drafted by government. It was done by government.
Oh, yes.
And it was an LG department perused the contract and approved the contract for government.
It is not a problem where they approve it. Every contract is actually approved before later when they are implementing it, then problems.
You see, what the difficulty I have with your position is that, you see, frankly speaking, fine, as you are saying, if I agree to your position, how you want to go about it and how you want me to go about my answering questions and things, if I go by that way, frankly speaking, I'll be dishonest because I know that is not how it's supposed to be.
But you want me to go about it your way. And I feel that if I go about it your way, I'll be dishonest. Continue.
Questions and things. If I go by that way, frankly speaking, I'll be dishonest. Because I know that is not how it's supposed to be. And I'll be dishonest in such a way that I'll be assisting for someone I know is completely innocent about this. For example, Atu Forsen, to be jailed because I knew something was wrong, was not the way, and I decided to keep quiet and to answer the question in a way that will make your case better for you to jail him. I'll be battling with my conscience. That is the problem I'm having. Anytime you bring up this issue with Yoni Kulendi, when I went to Yoni Kulendi's place, anytime you bring this issue, that is my problem I'm having. Because me, for example, I am in this case because I'm innocent and I'm going through ordeal. So I'm looking at another person also going to go through ordeal and through me because I know the truth and I decide not to say it because I want to help the AG make his case. And I ask myself, what is my interest in it?
I'm not asking you to really help me. I'm just going by it. Anyway, so that's fine. So this one was even just by the way.
I hope you get my difficulty.
It's on the phone.
Oh no! No, don't worry about that one. My issue, I'm just. Oh no! You and I will be meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, considering the scandalous nature of this recording and other forms of evidence we have shown you, we wish to make the following pressing demands as part of efforts to restore credibility to the Attorney General's office and Ghana's judicial system as a whole. 1. The immediate and unconditional resignation or dismissal of Godfrey Dame for bringing the high office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice into disrepute and public opprobrium. Clearly, Mr. Dame is not fit to hold himself out as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He is unfit to be the leader of the Ghana Bar. 2, the immediate prosecution of Godfrey Dame for multiple violations of the laws of Ghana. We wish to make it clear that should President Akufo-Addo refuse or fail to prosecute him, a future NDC government will prosecute Godfrey Dame for this heinous crime of fabrication of evidence. 3, commencement of disciplinary proceedings by the General Legal Counsel against Godfrey Dame and his disbarment for conduct unbecoming of a lawyer, and more importantly, the leader of the Ghana Bar. 4, a publicly televised parliamentary inquiry into this and other reports of judicial manipulations by Godfrey Dame with a view to censor Godfrey Dame to prevent the recurrence of such judicial manipulations.
Lawyers and judges drink from the same bowl. The judges are lawyers before they became judges. So if a judge invites me to his house, what is offensive? And this is what the NDC wants to make capital out of. They have lawyers in their midst. Would they tell me that their lawyers never visit judges? Again, the Attorney General, at the time of the invitation, was unaware that the third accused person was going to be present, and therefore his subsequent appearance in the House of the Justice was surprising. It is pertinent to note that prior to this meeting, the Attorney General had closed his case, and the court had thrown out the application of Atuforsen for a submission of no case as being without merit. The third accused had also, by 4 different letters by his lawyers, requested and made proposals to the Attorney General for a plea bargain, which will see Big C, third accused principal, paid 2 million euros in exchange for the cessation of prosecution. This has been roundly rejected by the Attorney General. In fact, third accused, through his lawyers in the letter dated 16 May 2023, had indicated unequivocally that they were requesting a plea bargain, and following the rejection, I requested the AG for terms which the Attorney General will consider acceptable. The cause for the resignation of the Attorney General is misplaced, unwarranted, and this will not put any spokes in the prosecution of Kcl Atuforsen and his associates. Ladies and gentlemen, the call for the resignation of the Attorney General coming from the NDC is very, very rich. The NDC calling on the Attorney General to resign from office. That is rich Ghanaians. The AG will not resign. He will continue to remain witty, resolute, and focused in the delivery of his work, as he does always.
So, scenes from those two presses and what they had to say, we'll be dissecting them right here on the show. Joining me in the studio, of course, Sweetie Abochi, as we get into these all-important matters. But I don't know, right before we go on the phone lines, this issue is going to be topical for a long while, and we all know the relevance of it, not just politically, but legally, and what it means for the ordinary man if you are in the picture versus maybe someone with clout in the system. But let's bring into the conversation Abraham Amaliba. He is Director of Conflict Resolution with the NDC. Mr. Amaliba, good morning.
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers.
Okay. And let me also state this, make this disclaimer. I don't want to mention his name, but we had a lawyer, a prominent one from the MPP end, meant to join the conversation this morning. And at the last minute, the person gave some reasons not to join the conversation for charitable reasons. I don't want to mention the person's name, but that is the situation. So if we speak to a certain group of people and you don't hear representation from the MPP, that person confirmed to speak to us and a few minutes ago did an about turn, a pirouette. That one is beyond our powers. Mr. Amaliba, so far, so many issues to unpack. But let's start with the stance of the NDC that the AG must resign or be dismissed, and that barring that, should there be a future NDC government, you will delve into the matter and prosecute him. I'm just curious, though. You make it sound like Atuforsen's case is political, but if you went down this road, if your party came to power and you went down that road, would it not be political? Would it be justice? Quick thoughts on that.
Yesterday was a Black Tuesday for our justice delivery system. Black Tuesday because the audio, the conversation contained therein were damning and explosive. You find the Attorney General in his own voice trying to tamper with a witness. Now, if you have an attorney general conducting himself in this way, how else would you want a responsible opposition to deal with the matter? Not to ask the attorney general to resign, to ask the attorney general to continue bringing the image of the justice delivery system into disrepute? Is that what you want?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it's a political witch hunt against Atuforsen, as your party claims, would it not be an equally charged witch hunt against the current Attorney General should your party win? I'm just saying, do we need this political tit for tat, quid pro quo?
There's no tit for tat here. Somebody has been asked to discharge his duties as a public officer. He's not discharging his duties well. It's just like asking the information minister or the finance minister to resign because the country is in dire straits. How is that political witch hunt? The political witch hunt is
let me interject here. If it's not a political witch hunt, Mr. Jakpa revealed in court that he had such evidence. Why was this evidence not presented to the court? Rather, you held a press conference to announce to the whole world that this is what you have. And you say
the
it's one of
NDC
many.
was not in court. The NDC is not a party in court. The NDC is interested in the good governance of this country. The NDC is a major stakeholder. The NDC thinks that this country must not be managed the way it is. And the NDC will go to the people with the facts of the case.
Are you saying that you don't have faith in a justice system that if this particular evidence that you have was presented to the courts, the country would not see justice delivered?
I'm saying that the NDC couldn't have presented those matters in court because the NDC is not a party to the suit. The one who is a party to the suit has intimated to the court that this did happen and he will provide evidence. So these are two different things. Don't merge them. The political party, which is desirous to have good governance in this country, is right to go to the people with the wrongdoings of this administration, and for that matter, the Attorney General. The political witch hunt can be seen in the Attorney General trying to convince a witness to bear false testimony against Atuforsen. That's where the witch hunt is coming from.
Mr. Amaliba, please hold for us. Let's also bring in lawyer Bobby Banson. Good morning, Mr. Banson.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to your listeners and viewers.
All right. I'm sure you followed proceedings from yesterday, the presses, then the tapes, and Frank Davies of the MPP end says the NDC distorted the tape. I'm sure you must have heard that tape as well, that interaction between Richard Jakpa and the Attorney General. And even at a point, if you pay attention, you would hear the Attorney General saying, and I'm not going to make certain statements. You are leading me to make certain statements. You are recording me likely. You know, it gets to that point and but already things have been said. And Richard Jakpa is defending that I can't do that in good conscience to an innocent person because me, myself, I'm innocent and I've been roped into this. What do you make? So far, at least, I've been avoiding mentioning the Supreme Court Justice's name, but it's been mentioned in that tape. I'm still going to personally refrain on principle from mentioning it. But that has been mentioned, then the interactions and what you've heard. What is your position so far on how far we've come? What does this mean for you in terms of the accusations against the AG?
Well, I would want to put the discussion into the context of the criminal prosecution, which I believe is the genesis of all this brouhaha, for lack of a better word.
Hello, Bobby. Bobby Banson, are you still with us? Hello, Mr. Banson. It appears we may not have Bobby Banson on the line. We'll try to. He was trying to situate the conversation in context, and all of a sudden, we sort of lost him. But let me quickly go back to Abraham Amaliba, Sweetie, before I come back into the studio. So the NPP has leveled an accusation that the tape was tampered with. It was doctored. If you listen to the tape, I am no expert, though I have some learnings in these. You hear, of course, it depends on where it was being recorded from, but the voice texture of Richard Jakpa compared to that of the Attorney General shows you that obviously there's a linear conversation going on. As to whether it was doctored or not, that I cannot say. But what is your reaction? The MPP alleges this tape was doctored. Your take?
This is an afterthought. It's just to try to obfuscate the issues. But if you say a tape is doctored, it doesn't mean that the contents are not true. You know that?
Yes, but they are saying basically that you've manipulated the content to sound a certain way. Yes. You've taken out bits and pieces.
It doesn't mean that the contents are not entirely true. It is different when you say the tape is a false tape. Then you want to say that the entire contents are wrong. But in any case...
But are you by saying this admitting that the tape was doctored?
No, I'm just saying that in any case, this is a tape that we all can hear the Attorney General clearly, and we know his voice clearly on that tape. And so to say that this tape is doctored is an afterthought, trying to obfuscate the issues and then divert attention from the issues therein. Now, there are three things that I think that the Attorney General misconducted himself in. One, to speak to the witness who was in the witness box or who was taking his turn in the witness box without his lawyer. It goes against the tenets of the legal profession. Two, to ask a witness to lie to the court that he is sick and go for a doctor's excuse is not done. And three, to ask the witness to proffer false testimony or evidence against the first accused person. In some jurisdictions, this Attorney General would have been a goner.
Okay.
You know, in the U.S., currently, the Trump's lawyer has been disbarred because he inadvertently said something that wasn't true. But you can't have fame in Akufo-Addo's land.
Right.
So I'm not surprised.
Yes, so just quickly, I need to bring in Bobby Banson, but just to clarify something. We've seen some of those WhatsApp messages and everything in between. I want you to clarify. The claim has been made that at the time he may have had this interaction with the AG in a certain Supreme Court Justice's office, contrary to what the AG's office, Isaac Wilberforce-Mensah, what he's been saying that Richard Jakpa did not have a lawyer. Thaddeus Sori was representing him at the time. Can you confirm that for us, or no?
That is so, because if you even look at one of the text messages, you look at the date. It was a day before they appeared in court, and by then, Jakpa was represented by Thaddeus Sori. So it can be true.
All right, please hold for us. Let's bring back Mr. Bobby Banson. You were trying to put the situation in context and then make some assertions. Please go ahead.
Yes, I have heard parts of the tape. The allegation that is being doctored, I have not heard the otherwise full tape or what is supposed to be the original tape. So I cannot speak to what is original and what has been doctored. Those who claim that it's been doctored would have the burden to prove the original tape. I have not heard it.
Quick intervention.
Yes.
When you hear the voice of the other person on the tape, does it sound to you like Godfrey Yeboadame?
Oh yes, of course. There's no doubt that is his voice.
Okay.
I don't doubt that is his voice. But my point is that what the effect of this would have on the trial that is ongoing. There are two ways of looking at it. Mr. Jakpa, from his own voice, refused to do the bidding that he is alleging the Attorney General was urging on him. And so we can take it for granted that what he has said in court or the evidence he has proffered is actually was without influence or undue influence. Let me put it that way. And so whatever the Attorney General was trying to achieve, as it has been alleged, was not successful. And so if we would go through the trial with that, it means that as it stands now, there may have been allegedly an attempt by the Attorney General, but which attempt was not successful. And so this recording, these discussions, in my opinion, should not have an effect on the outcome of the trial.
Which is what the judge has said.
The man is saying that you wanted me to do A, B, C, D, but I won't do it. Then it means what I have done is actually what I wanted to do in terms of the evidence I have given. And so I think that the judges or the judge hearing the matter for me would be clear in their mind that there is nothing like undue influence in respect of the evidence that has been given.
Bobby,
a
quick point. So I don't think that is in question because the judge herself has stated that, and that's why she said the two parties, NDC and MPP, should stop scandalizing the court because she's not going to be swayed by the court of public opinion, right? So that is clear. But in terms of the practice of the law, Abraham Abaliba was just suggesting or referencing the fact that Trump's lawyer, his name just escapes me, the one who was with him during his
That was
tenure.
the second point I was actually going to make.
That now he's been disbarred, debarred, prevented from. In terms of the practice of the law and what has been done, what then does it do to the Attorney General as not just a lawyer, but as Attorney General, Minister of Justice, and head of the bar?
That was the point, the second point I was going to make. The effect of the alleged conduct on the professional integrity or ethics of the Attorney General. I believe that the Legal Professions Act provides for consequences of such action. As a lawyer, the NDC may file, or even the current lawyers for Mr. Jatta, or Mr. Jatta himself, may file a petition to the General Legal Counsel, which will investigate the matter thoroughly and then come up with a decision. If they find that the allegations are true, there are various options available to them. Disbarring the lawyer is one of them. Suspending the lawyer is one of them. And then perhaps issuing a warning to that lawyer to desist from such actions is another. Now, taking his position not as a mere lawyer, but as the Attorney General and the effect on that office is something that is a political decision. Whether or not the current government thinks that it is fit to allow him to remain in office, despite the allegations hanging on his head, not only remain in office, to continue to champion the institution of this. I think that the optics are not for the current government. Because in this government,
what did you just say? You think the optics are not what?
Are not good. Are not good.
For
the current government.
You mean for the AG and the government?
Sorry?
I'm not getting, the optics are not good for the AG or the government. How do you mean?
No, actually, it is the government that appointed the AG. So what I mean is that the presidency. And so if the presidency, in the light of all these allegations, would allow the AG to remain in office and to champion the prosecution of these matters, then the optics are not good. Because we've had instances in recent times when somebody like Cecilia Dapa was asked to step aside on allegations of corruption, as it were, until investigations were completed. So if we go by that standard, then you expect the presidency or to take a similar step in this regard. If investigations are completed and the Attorney General is cleared, I believe that it will be available for everybody to make that judgment call.
Mr. Manson, I want to follow in that trail of thoughts, but I want to get a quick reaction first from Mr. Maleba before I come to you on that note of the resignation. Mr. Maleba, the NDC is saying that you want the AG to resign. Now, you also just said that you're doing all this in the interest of the country. Would you rather be inclined to the school of thought that an independent commission of inquiry of sorts should be set up? And if he's found culpable, because your tape can be challenged, as they're doing right now, they're calling it doctored, malicious. Would you rather an inquiry be made into the case? And if he's found culpable, then he resigns? Because asking him to resign directly would not be a practice of a rule of law. How does that sit with you?
In fact, it's rule of law when officers of the state decide that I have brought this office into disrepute, and so I'm resigning. You know that. I'm resigning honorably, so you know that. So our call is to the Attorney General to do the needful. But that does not mean that if he thinks that he wants to stay, a committee of inquiry shouldn't be set up. There are two different things. We are asking him to resign because we know that he has conducted himself in a way that does not befit the office that he holds. And so, but those who are also calling for a commission of inquiry or whatever inquiry are also right. So the two can go hand in hand.
All right.
Either he resigns or a commission of inquiry is put in place.
Okay. Mr. Benson, should the Attorney General resign?
Hello, Bobby Banton.
I'm here. I mean, if I were him, I would step aside.
Why though? Why though?
You know, you are dealing with a situation where somebody you are cross-examining in a very highly sensitive case involving politically exposed persons says that you have attempted to influence the nature of my evidence. That is some wild allegation. And so if it is made and it is backed by a prima facie evidence of a recording, you would want to play your. Now, we want to change that up because the Office of Attorney General has a lot of administrative roles that may be conflicting.
Bobby, please pivot a bit. Please reposition slightly. The train of thought. Please reposition slightly on the phone because we're struggling to hear you. Just go back some 30 seconds, reposition, and let's try again.
Okay, Ben, is it better?
Better.
Okay, so I'm saying that I would have stepped aside and then pursued an investigations or whatever it is, subject myself to whatever investigative mechanism, whether the General Legal Counsel, whether a commission of inquiry. The reason being that if I remain in office, what it will mean is that the administrative functions of the Attorney General may interfere with some of these investigative mechanisms, either with the GLC, whether with because the Attorney General remains the advisor to government in all legal matters. So if you are setting up a commission of inquiry, would the President require an opinion from the Attorney General's office? What will I do in that capacity? If it's the General Legal Counsel, is the Attorney General represented on the the General Legal Counsel? Would there be conflict? So I would step aside and then allow this investigative mechanism to go through. At the end of the day, his career was there before this office. So if there is anything that would threaten his career, which the NDC and other members are making calls for, I think that is a very serious allegation that he would need his name cleared. More importantly, and that's I've been saying, this situation further be for us as a country to take a serious look at decoupling the office of the Attorney General from the Minister of Justice.
Right. And it's a conversation we've had time without number. I'm just curious about something. Just a quick point. Would it not be possible, and I just want to look at all sides, for the Attorney General to step aside in terms of handling the case without necessarily resigning? Would that not suffice?
But
I just want to look at all angles.
He's the head of that office. Every single step that is taken in any case that the government of Ghana is pursuing or defending is done in the name of the Attorney General. And so conflict of interest need not be real. Perception counts a lot.
So even if Alfred Tuya stepped in and all of that, it would still be that, nah, I mean...
The Constitution does not mention the Deputy Attorney General.
Right. Right. Bobby Banson, we're grateful for your time. So you're also of the school of thought that he should resign?
I think so.
Do you see that happening, though, before you go? Do you see that happening? Based on the experiences we've had in this country, the cases that have come up, and, do you see the Attorney General stepping aside?
I would be surprised if he resigned.
Okay.
All right. Shall we give the final word to Abraham Amaliba?
Yeah.
Quick thoughts in 30 seconds and we're gone. Mr. Amaliba.
You see, a convicted person must trust the justice system enough to accept the verdict of the court. So if you have an Attorney General whose hands have been tainted by this conduct, even if you end up convicting the person will have doubts and say that I wasn't treated well and this was malicious prosecution. It's the reason why the Attorney General must leave the office, so that the convicted person, whoever is going to be convicted in this case, would have enough basis to accept the verdict.
All right, so just to clarify that's my final bit to you. You are by this saying, and I was going to bring it your way anyway, that it could that maybe the Attorney General in some ways did not follow established practice, that some of what he did may not have been 100% right. But you are also admitting that barring that, it is still possible that those who are in court may not have done the right thing and that the law could deal with them accordingly. They could be found culpable. You are admitting that, right?
I'm saying that in the worst case scenario, where the accused persons end up being convicted, would they have trust in the conviction? Would they accept that
the judge is insisting she's not paying attention to any of this?
So that is where I'm coming from. The Attorney General's conduct has brought doubts into the minds of many people.
All right.
And would the accused persons, if they are convicted, accept the verdict as being a trustworthy conviction? That's the question I'm asking.
All right.
And that's why he should resign.
Okay. Abraham Amaliba, we're grateful for your time. He is Director of Conflict Resolution with the NDC. We also had Bobby Banson, a lawyer, joining the conversation. So, sweetie, now, from yesterday to today, we have Professor Asiedu Nketia saying he should resign. Martin Kpebu saying he should resign. Now, as for the NDC, I don't want to because it's clear. Now you have Bobby Banson also saying that if for nothing, on the back of what we've seen, he should resign and then pursue the matter in
But he will be surprised if he actually does. That's the interesting bit.
Anyway, we'll be back with more. We're bringing you an exclusive interview with a political stalwart and a former presidential aspirant of the MPP, a man of many parts, and he dons many hats. Dr. Kobina Arthur Kennedy is right here in the studio, and you don't want to miss that interaction shortly, right here on the AM show. We'll be right back.